pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty and everlasting God, who presides over all things in heaven and earth, come and preside over these deliberations, so that those that make the decisions may be guided by your wisdom.
Thank you. Mr. Ryan. Mr. Ryan, would you
Yes.
do us the favor and please come down here?
You want to go first?
You go.
Jim, you know this lady, right? Jim, we're going to take a couple minutes from council, and I thank council for letting us do this. We're going to recognize you tonight for several things, and we're going to be presenting you with, first of all, the key to the city. And I'd like to read it to you. The city of Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania honors James Ryan in grateful recognition for 22 years of service and dedication to the community and the city of Wilkes-Barre. Mayor George C. Brown, March 2021. Also, Jim, I'd like to present you with the mayoral proclamation. So bear with me as I read this, please. Office of the Mayor, a proclamation. Whereas James Ryan, the first child and only son, born to Edward J. Ryan and Marcella P. Ryan in Syracuse, New York. The Ryan family lived in a Tipperary Hill neighborhood among other descendants of Irish immigrants. James attended Salem Hyde Elementary School and St. Vincent's High School. He graduated from Paul Smith College and furthered his education at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And whereas James settled in Pennsylvania early in his career, has lived happily in Wilkes-Barre ever since his wife, Jean Marie. The couple have a daughter, Bridget, and son, Daniel. Bridget and her husband, Jerry, have two daughters, Greta and Tessa. And whereas James began his career with the Wilkes-Barre City in 1999 in the City Health Department. He was appointed city clerk of the city of Wilkes-Barre on September 17, 2001, and has served in his position for over 19 years. James will retire from the city of Wilkes-Barre on April 2nd. And whereas in March 12, 2012, Jim was selected as the Grand Marshal of the 32nd Annual Wilkes-Barre St. Patrick's Day Parade. He is proud of his Irish heritage and can trace his ancestors to County Longford, County Roscommon, and County Tipperary. Now therefore is resolved that I, George C. Brown, Mayor of the City of Wilkes-Barre, do hereby appreciatively recognize and congratulate James Ryan for 22 years of service, support, and dedication to the community of the City of Wilkes-Barre. Congratulations. Jim, in ending, I'd just like to say that I've told you and Jean Marie this many times. You're one of the nicest people I've ever met. When I served on council for 4 years, you were always a gentleman. We were always trying to make sure that whatever I requested or the other council members requested, you met our needs. My life is fulfilled knowing you and being your friend, and I'm very happy to say that we're going to continue to be friends even after your retirement. So I thank you, my friend, my neighbor, and I'm looking forward to spending more years as your friend. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And always part to do that with all the work that's been done in the last 19 years or so.
the management of city records and their storage. Whereas Mr. Ryan served as a secretary for the Wilkes-Barre Finance Authority and was a member of the Aggregate Trust Fund Board and Non-Uniform Pension Fund Board. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Wilkes-Barre hereby extends a big thank you to Jim Ryan for his service and wishes him well in his retirement. Yeah, There's our presentation from our colleagues as well.
I have to say, Jim, I've learned so much about you the last 5 years. My goodness. Wow. This is on behalf of City Council, a small token of our appreciation for all that you do for all of us and your staff, Kathy and Lisa. So we just wanted to give you something to remember us by and to you. Yeah, that's good. Please, and a little card there. And if you do us, we'd love to see what's in there. I think everybody. So.
Would you?
Yeah, sure. If it's okay with you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Well, not a lot of cold. First, turn the camera off.
Thank you. I love watches.
Somebody told us that.
Very nice. Very nice.
Check out the back of it a little bit when you get a chance. There's something to remember us by on the back of it.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Do it now.
Okay.
Card and again, Jim, from all of us, we certainly appreciate it.
Okay. Well, thank
Can't
you.
believe it's that many years already, but best wishes in your retirement and for your years.
I hope it was, I know it was inevitable that this was going to happen, but I hate being the center of attention, so thank you very much, and all of the councils that I've worked with have not had their own agendas. They've only had, their agendas were all about improving the city and about the citizens of the city. And I can say that absolutely, positively firsthand. And that's the case with all of you also. So it's been a pleasure working with you and previous councils and previous mayors and people like the chief, Butch, Charlie, Maureen, and let's not forget her. So thank you very much.
Yes, you do. You definitely do. No problem.
Congratulations, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, the work session for Wilkes-Barre City Council will come to order for March 25th. We will go over the agenda at this meeting, and then we will adjourn and have a voting meeting where then the public will be invited to call in. Mr. Ryan or Ms. Payne?
Okay. Good evening, as you said, Mr. Chairman. There is one announcement. The one resolution on the mayor's agenda has been pulled for consideration, has been pulled from consideration by council relative to the painting and pavement markings. Mayor, that's on the mayor's agenda. Mayor, would you like to say a few words about that? About the reason for that being pulled?
Yeah, council members, we decided to pull that because we wanted to make sure that we have adequate information for you, and we just don't feel that that would be the right time tonight to do that. So we'll have more of an update for you and hopefully have it in either the next meeting or the following meeting. So want to be prepared for your questions and make sure we give you as much information as possible.
Thank you, Mayor. There's only one item on council's agenda, and that's an ordinance for second and final reading. It's file of council number 8 of 2021, an ordinance amending the traffic control map pursuant to Chapter 29 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Wilkes-Barre, entitled Traffic and Motor Vehicles, related to 3 permanent stop signs at the intersection of Maple and North Main Streets. And with that, we go into the mayor's agenda, which is down to one item, I believe.
Well, I'll try and speak loud enough. I know at last couple meetings I was criticized for not speaking loud enough. So basically, we really have one ordinance to present to you tonight, adopting the 2021 action plan encompassing the Community Development Block Grant Program and Home Program budgets for program year 47 and appropriating specific sums estimated to be required to complete program activities. So this is time sensitive, Council. We are presenting it tonight, and hopefully with your approval, we'll present it 2 weeks from now, and then it will be submitted, for approval from HUD. So I believe you've all had a copy of it, and you've had some time to take a look at it.
Okay. Any questions for the mayor?
Good.
Thank you. Okay, council presentations. Councilman Barrett.
Mr. Chairman, there's a new item in the binder. Is that something that we're addressing this evening?
You say again, sir?
There's a new item in the binder, at least it's in mine, relative to the parks. That was pulled. That was pulled, the one in the parks? Okay. That one was pulled, okay, it was still in my binder, I'm sorry. The only thing I have is a letter that I received from an East End resident, and discussing it with her, she asked if I would read this to the other council members to share it with them. And so if it's okay with you, it's a rather brief letter.
Sure.
Basically she says, with the new windfall, $38.8 million from the federal government, my taxes and yours, I'm asking you to propose that a portion of this money be used to bring back our once admired city. We don't need flowers and shrubs. They won't negate the gutters filled with leaves and garbage. I believe that the city will lead and restore pride. The people, of course not all, living here will also be encouraged. We also know first impressions mattered when the tourist agency paid a branding expert to evaluate how to increase terrorism. He said we have to clean the city in order to attract tourists who would then bring revenue. I know that as you ride through our streets, you too realize they are neglected by the city. It seems that there isn't a comprehensive plan to ensure that the streets are clean throughout the year. I hope you can address this need and others will join you to change the appearance and reputation of our once beautiful city. Thank you, Teresa McDonough Jamio, 47 Hillard Street. My comment on that, and I understand what she's saying, but I do have to say that I've already seen, and we're talking in the middle of March, that I've already seen that the street cleaners are out, the people are working on the parks. I know that we're getting a good head start with this nice weather. I'm very encouraged by what I see there. I understand what this resident's saying, and actually another resident called with a very similar concern. And I think that we share that. We all want clean streets and clean parks. And I know that you and Mr. Fraudy and all the others involved, and of course Mr. McCormick, have been out there. And I've actually seen them today in the parks, and I've seen the street cleaners starting to do aggressive cleaning. And I think that this person is, the point that I think that they have that's very valid is we want that to continue. And I know that you want this as much as the residents want it, and we all do share those very same concerns. So that being said, I know that you talked about some cameras in areas that there are some concerns about, that there have been repeat dumping and problem areas, and I know that your health department is aggressively going after people that do that. Maybe you might want to comment on this letter, Mayor.
Do you mind if I comment?
Sure.
A couple of things, and I hope to clarify this. Yes, we did receive an award of $38.8 million. We do not yet know what the restrictions are on that monies. We do know two things. It cannot go to reduce taxes. It cannot go to be put into the pension funds. Pension funds, based on agreement that we've had with council, we're moving on that, and that's going to be in much, much, much better shape. So I'm not worried about that, honestly. But we're waiting for the Treasury Department to let us know what the parameters are, how that can be spent. Naturally, I think we all want to spend it in the best way, what's best for the residents, what's best for things like infrastructure, meaning roads and other things. But it's not, first of all, we did not receive it yet. Secondly, we didn't receive how it should be used. And as soon as we find out, you're going to be the first one to know that, I promise you. Secondly, as far as cameras, the gentleman to my right, I requested several months ago to purchase 4 cameras, and Brett Hirsch did do that for us. We've actually installed them in a section of the city, 4 new cameras, and we're going to purchase 6 more. So we're going to be looking at installing them in areas that we feel are areas where people are dumping and other things are happening. Okay, these are cameras that should be installed throughout the city. I'm happy to work with you if you have suggestions where you'd like us to put it. So basically what I'm saying is 6 new cameras, 4 that we already have. And then I think there's an additional one that we're trying a new type. So basically we're going to have a total of 11 cameras. So if you'd like to work with my office and say, Mayor, I suggest you put one here or there. John, I know you've highlighted several places. Mike, I know Arch Lane is one of the ones that is in your area. So we're already identifying that, and we'll work with you on that, and we'll work with the committees that clean up and everything else. We want to make sure that these 11 cameras are put in the right places, and we're going to do that. So yes, new cameras are on their way. Thanks to
I have to say, I
Hirsch.
saw your new street cleaner, our new street cleaner in action the other day. I could hear it before I saw it, which is good, and it seemed to be doing a great job. And it would be great if we had as this letter mentioned, an ongoing regular program that people get to know that in certain days that this machine would be coming through and cleaning the streets. Something we had years ago, we haven't had for a while. But I'm very encouraged again to see this going on right now, and it would just be great if we could continue doing it on a somewhat regular routine basis.
And the other thing is, last year you have helped us in securing the monies for the vacuum truck. Mm-hmm. That's going to be a big help in cleaning up, the gutterways and the other things, the leaves and stuff like that. So thanks to your cooperation, we have that also, which is going to be a big help. So now we have 2 new pieces of equipment that we're going to be putting out throughout the city. So yeah, we want to get started on that, and we've done that already, and hopefully you'll see that in your neighborhoods. Also, I know something that you're passionate about is the roads and the potholes, and we've tried to send people out there. Can't wait until the asphalt companies start open, so we can do it the right way. Okay, poor Butch's hands are tied because he used to send people out with coal patch, and we know it's not permanent, but we're going to do it the right way. There are a series of streets that are going to be paved, okay, and we've worked with council in working with your list. Tony, you're not getting 18 roads, but we will try to do some in your district, okay? So what we're looking at is doing a couple in each district if we can do that, and based on your recommendations. But the nice thing is utility companies also have several roads to be repaved. Most of the potholes are paved cuts, and they're just not repaired because, same thing, they put soft patch in there. So it's another thing that's going to happen. You're going to see a lot of activity from utility companies in paving from curb to curb and doing it the right way.
That's good.
Mayor, real quick. These cameras that you mentioned, will these be like portable, that we can move around if we're having an area that's, we could take it and move it, simple?
Yeah.
It's not going to be permanent stationed? Okay. Because that will help.
Yeah.
For different drug activity and stuff. Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
Anything else?
Mr. Barrett, so.
The only other thing, I'm happy to see our chief here, Fire Chief Jay Delaney, and I just wanted to personally, again, recognize his department under his leadership for the fine work they've been doing, especially in view of the most recent fires. And I know a lot of us have reached out to him through social media, but we're very, very proud of your department, Chief. Just wanted to pass that along. Thank you for all you do. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. Mr. Belisco?
I just want to personally thank Jim Ryan. I know, Jim, this is your last meeting. I don't know how you did it for 20 years. In this room, it gets crazy at times. But good luck to you. You've really been a big help to all of us, as the mayor has said. I know my first year, you helped me tremendously. But again, I wish you well, and thanks for serving the city of Wilkes-Barre. Secondly, I want to speak about Chief Delaney and his fire department. Last Monday, the 15th, I believe it was, early in the morning, there was a fire at Genetti's. Our firemen were there on spot. I think they were still there when the next fire came out, which was Bilecki's recycling center. So those guys worked tirelessly all day long, probably without meals, probably without rest, probably working from one fire straight to the next fire, still dirty and sweaty. So I have to commend Chief Delaney and his firemen on a well-deserved thank you. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Mr. Belisco. Mr. Marconi?
Yes, I have several. First two, I just want to thank Mr. Ryan. I'm only here 15 months, but he really helped me quite a bit in this 15 months. So I do want to acknowledge him and thank him for that. Myself too, talking to Chief Delaney about the fire department. As Mr. Belusco says, one at Genetti's, one at Bilecki's. I was actually at the one at Bilecki's. I got there at 7 o'clock at night, and those guys are just working and working and working. They were overnight. Again, kudos to you and your team. I do have a couple questions for the administration, Mayor. I'm just wondering if you would happen to have a quarterly financial update on how we're doing at this time?
You get monthly ones.
Well, Mr. Mark, the quarter won't end until the end of March.
Okay.
First of all. So, when the reports come out, we normally do forward them to you
Okay.
through Brett Kittrick. So, yeah, a couple more weeks, we should be able to start wrapping that up.
Okay. I apologize for
No,
that.
that's okay.
I wasn't sure, how the quarters went. I appreciate that. You did talk about the roads being paved. Any idea what roads the utility companies will be paved? Do we have that compiled yet, or are we still working on that?
Butch, I'll let you speak about that.
We finally nailed down the streets that Pennsylvania American Water Company will be doing in 2021 paving at some point in 2021 today. So I will get that an email together and send it out to everyone, and you can see for yourself what streets they plan on paving, and also what streets have been left over from last year's installation work that will be paved. That's extensive. I have not heard back from UGI. It's not surprising that they're doing less work in the city this year than they have in the past. As soon as I get that, I will forward that on. But not to hold up the information, we'll get that out next week.
I appreciate it, Butch. And talking about the hot patch, do we have any idea, like, when does that start? I mean, is it?
I've been told that certain plants in the southern part of the state, the southern part of the northeast part of the state are actually making it now.
Okay.
Our companies will be hoping to get that sometime after Easter, maybe even as early as next week if the weather's conducive to, continually running hot asphalt. We're hoping it's the next week or so.
Thank you. Also, I also saw the street sweeper out up our way as well. Very refreshing. One question though, I thought we were supposed to put no parking signs up. Are we doing that yet? I can see, they're kind of waving in and out of the vehicles.
Last week when we did this, or this week when we did this, we did it in conjunction with Untitled Sanitary Authority and and to answer your questions earlier, we had talked in the administration on putting a package together to maybe roll this out sometime third week of April in conjunction with the Great American Cleanup, and then we can continue on with the two pieces, the sweeper and the vac truck, as frequently as we can. We all know that sometimes it can't happen because of vacations and call-offs and whatnot, but we're fairly confident we can continue to do this on a weekly basis.
And then finally, Mr. Frady, I don't know, do you have any information on the Washington Street Bridge project?
I can give you some updates here, if you'd like.
Great.
I brought this along. I'll give you some, first of all, I'll give you a little bit of financial background on this. The initial price for engineering, which included preliminary engineering, final design, right-of-way acquisition, and construction services, was somewhere around $101,220,000. That's just the design of this bridge, to get it to construction. Thus far, we've been invoiced for $322,000, of which the city has paid $16,000. So we're getting a bargain. Eventually, when this is constructed, we got a bargain. Where we're at right now is we, as you know, this is an old bridge. It's got historical features and some historical value. So there's a whole bunch of different studies that have to be done here in preliminary engineering. We have finally gotten to the point where everything has been submitted and it will be reviewed in May. We feel very confident, and we have not heard any comment from the people at the state or the Department of Transportation, meaning if you get a comment, that means they want you to go back and do something different. So far, it looks like we're not going to have any comments. That period, the comment period ends early May. We go right directly to the final design. Understand that, you know, you can't build a bridge the way you did 100 years ago. So the challenge is we had to go to the PUC to get a gradient change, meaning to build that bridge in that location and still accommodate all the ADA requirements that need to be met nowadays. We had to increase the elevation of the bridge to get over the railroad. Railroad cars are bigger now, they're higher now, so we had, and that was a challenge. The bigger challenge is trying to get people from the Department of Transportation who work remotely to review the information our engineer submits. It looks as though final design will begin in June. We're hoping it's finished by late August, early September, and this project goes to bid in late 2022, or excuse me, early 2022.
All right, thank you so much.
And John, just to back up a little bit, regarding South Wilkes-Barre, I received complaints that we put too many signs up for the street sweeping. Mike, I don't know if you heard that.
There was a lot, man.
There was a lot, yeah. So
Okay.
It seems like sanitary authority and the city, we have to work better together because there's too many in one area, not enough in the other area.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Councilwoman McBride?
A few things. First, I would like to thank Jim Ryan, of course, for his years of service to the city. I've worked with Jim since I was on junior city council, so we've known each other for quite some time, and we got close as well. And as many of you know, he sworn me in for each of my ceremonies, so he'll definitely be missed, that's for sure. Also, I want to thank the fire department and Chief Delaney for their work last week on those fires. I know that was a difficult situation for everyone, so thank you very much for that. Then just a few questions for the administration. Number one, I know that there are swings up at Barney Farms Park, and I know that because myself and my family went down there because there weren't swings up at the parks near us. And I know other families have been traveling to Barney Farms Park for the swings as well. So it's getting a little bit crowded down there because people from other parts of the city who could go to other parks are going down there. So I was just wondering when swings would be up at other parks throughout the city.
Sure. We spoke about that at a meeting last week, and we're going to be starting to put them up. We should be finished by Memorial Day with everything up.
By when?
Memorial Day,
Okay.
which means basketball nets back up, basketball courts being operated again. And that's our hope, is to get it completed by Memorial Day so that when the nice weather's here, all the parks will be back. Now, we have 18 parks in the city of Wilkes-Barre, so, it'll take us a little time, but that's our plan, Beth.
Okay. I would really appreciate if at least each area of the city was hit before Memorial Day
Sure.
if possible, just so it kind of makes it a little bit easier for the kids.
Okay.
We'll do it. We'll do
Okay.
it for you. We'll take parks in each of the 5 districts.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And then I know that yard waste was cut down to 3 cans per week. Will residents still be able to drop off yard waste at DPW? And when would they be able to start doing that?
Which, once again,
I don't have the calendar in front of me, but I believe we are gonna allow yard waste drop off very shortly in April.
Okay,
And again, it's on the calendar, I think it's between hours of 8 and 2, and we are gonna target certain Saturdays, in the month for people who can't get there during the week.
okay. And then, of course, the dual recycling program. I am getting some residents approach me with some concerns about, only taking cans one week and then cardboard the next week. They're concerned about the number of cans that they have. Is there a plan to get more cans to residents? I know that we briefly spoke about possibly applying for a grant of some sort.
we actually have, I think about 300, right, Butch?
It's a little bit more than that, Mayor, because some of them.
Anyone that wants a can, we have 300 or 400.
Okay,
Just have them call Lisa, and Lisa will take their address down and we'll deliver to their house.
okay,
So, yeah, as long as we have them, and we'll even see maybe we can get some more.
okay. So that we're still thinking about applying for a grant for more
Yeah,
cans?
we're gonna do that, but I wanna get rid of the
Sure.
400 first, and then we'll see what we can do after that.
Okay,
See if we get 400 requests, but, yeah, we understand that we have to work through the bugs out with this dual stream, and you mind if I just elaborate a little bit?
sure.
Sure.
We're gonna be doing, I emailed to you the flyer. But also, we're gonna be doing advertisements. We'll be going on radio and TV. We wanna educate the residents as to what they can do, because our plan is to start this on May 3rd. So over the next month, it's gonna be very intense as far as educating it. It's gonna be in the Latino newspapers. I mean, everything we do is bilingual. You see that now. So it's gonna be a very intense instructional several weeks, getting the people to understand the limitations of it, and then we'll work in. But our idea is to start at May 3rd, and then start to see the benefits of the dual stream. But there's going to be an awful lot of media and paper ads going out and things like that, newspaper ads. So we'll make sure that everybody understands it before we start it.
Okay,
And your feedback's important too. So, if you see issues, we want to know about that, so we can work on that too.
are you still planning on doing direct mailers for the program?
We're in the study of that right now.
Okay.
We're looking at what's the best way to do it. Tyler has been doing a great job as far as looking at what's the best way to do that. So we're putting together a nice package. But if you have ideas, share them with us, okay? We put an insert into the calendars. And by the way, if I can elaborate one more thing, there was a posting on social media that someone said that this is the way DPW hands out the calendars, and they saw some on the ground. I don't know if you saw that. Well, there's a reason for that. Because the 2 guys that were going door to door, putting them on people's porches, were chased by a pit bull. And I would probably do the same thing. I would be concerned about my safety when I'm being chased by a pit bull. So as we looked into that situation, that's why there was some on the ground, because they just took off running, to get to safety. So it was not anybody just throwing them out, they actually put them on the porches. If anybody asks you about that, that's what happened that day. Okay, Butch did look into it, he talked to the guys, and the 2 guys were worried about their health. Okay.
That's all I have.
Good,
Thank
thank you.
Barney?
And I too want to
Mr.
add in
Chairman?
my, say again, Mike?
Mr. Chairman, can I respond?
You want to, go ahead.
Yeah. Mayor, I was gonna bring this up to Charlie, but I didn't resident came to me, Beth reminded me, Barney Farms Park. I told him I wanted to get down to see what he was talking about, but Beth reminded me of it, and I forgot to mention it to Charlie. I hear that the tennis court is being used as a skateboard park. That they took the nets down, or the nets are down, and now they have like ramps that they're using as a skate park. And could we I know this might be a policing matter, we also have quads going through that park. I mean, we have little children there. We can't have quads going in there. And I know that's very hard to control. And I know that the police department's the only one that can control it. But could we look into those tennis courts? I will be down there this weekend for sure to take a look, but I don't know, are we gonna allow it? I hate to take anything away from kids, but I think that's a liability thing for the park, for us to allow such a thing. I don't know, what are your thoughts?
Well, Mike, you're right, and Butch and I just met on this last week. I've actually sent pictures out of, I was down there because I live there, you know, I live right in that area. And yeah, you're right, and what happened was, and this really has me upset, is the people, I don't know if they're kids or adults, they actually cut holes in the tennis court and concreted bars on there. So Butch and I are working on a plan, we're gonna go in there, we're gonna clean that all up, okay? The nets are still up, but it doesn't make any sense because there's a lot of debris there. And our plan is to clean that up, okay? But what really bothered me was there's 8-inch holes in the tennis court that someone drilled out and actually concreted bars that they can use to go back and forth. So it's a mess. We're on it. Butch is working on that. So we are going to clean it up. We'll have to find some way that we can, you know, secure that area. Is that what we want? No. But it's something that I heard about it from my 5-year-old grandson. That's how I heard about it. And he said, Pop, he said, let's go for a walk. And he showed it. I couldn't believe it. So you can imagine that. I mean, it's a mess. I'd love to be able to have a place for people to skateboard. I mean, and who knows what's going to happen in the future. But the thing is, we have to do something there because it really is a mess. The people that are there did not maintain it. And Beth, if you saw it, you saw debris, you saw garbage, you saw dirt. And it's just, it's a mess. So yeah, we're going to be addressing that.
Thank you.
And I can send you pictures, Mike, if you want to see it, because I.
No, I'll be down there. I'll be down there Saturday.
Okay. And also, we talked about some of the equipment is broken. There's like a mountain that the kids climb on, what you call it. That's broken. So some of that equipment too, we're going to be looking at equipment in the parks. You know that we're going to be working on, with your approval, we want to get this CDBG budget going so that we could actually create a special needs area at Kirby Park. My hope is that with 18 parks, we can start with Kirby, have that set up, and then at least have 1 or 2 pieces in each of the other parks for special needs. There's infrastructure things that have to be done. The equipment's not cheap. So it's something, it's just a passion of mine, and hopefully we'll be able to do that. That's going to be another great opportunity for people that are in wheelchairs that cannot use the park right now. So good things are coming.
Thank you.
And I want to add my words of thanks to Jim Ryan. Jim, you have always been a consummate gentleman in all matters that we've dealt with each other over, for me at least, for the last 5 years, and I wish you nothing but success and a great, wonderful retirement, sir. I do want to commend the fire department and the men under Jay Delaney. That is just amazing what happened there back to back, and that no lives were lost, and it's just a testament to the outstanding fire department that we have in the city of Wilkes-Barre, not just for us, but for the entire Wyoming Valley. So my hat's off to you and the men of the fire department. And I had heard about the city calendar being delivered, but more importantly, I've heard from many, many more people thanking the city for having the city calendars delivered, and thanking them also for having it online earlier, so people could see it. So.
Can I just say one more thing?
Sure.
Another thing is, and Charlie's going to say, Mayor, you take it over to you, but I want everybody to understand that calendar is 100% paid for by the advertisers. Not one dime came out of the general fund budget, and not one dime came out of any of the funds that we have. It's 100% paid for by the people that put ads in there.
Yep.
So it's a service that we provide at no cost to the taxpayer.
No, it's a great service. Wonderful, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, may I real quick?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, just real quick on the calendars, they are being distributed. I didn't receive mine yet. How are they being distributed? Is it the day of trash pickup, or how does that happen?
No, we decided on the areas that people were actually calling where their calendar. So we tried to put fires out, so you're next.
Okay. All right.
So don't call.
I'm just asking a question. All right, guys, thank you.
Okay, all right, we'll adjourn. Okay. All rise. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Almighty and everlasting God, who presides over all things in heaven and earth, come and preside over these deliberations, so that those that make the decisions may be guided by your wisdom.
And one more time for Mr. Ryan. Roll call, please.
Mr. Barrett,
Here.
Mr. Belusko,
Here.
Mr. Marconi,
Here.
Mrs. Gilbert McBride,
Present.
and Mr. Brooks.
Here.
Also in attendance tonight is Mayor George C. Brown, Administrator Charles McCormick, Assistant City Attorney Maureen Collins, Fire Chief Jay Delaney, and IT Director Frank Hirschberger, Assistant City Clerk Catherine Payne, Administrative Assistant Lisa Sanfilippo, and Butch Fraudy, Assistant Administrator, Director of Operations.
If anyone would like to call in now on pending legislation, that is items that we will be voting on our agenda, you may do so at this time. Are there any calls?
Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Walter Griffith, Trucksville.
Go ahead, Mr. Rivers.
Thank you so much. First of all, Chairman Brooks, how are you?
Doing well, Walter.
Thank you. First of all, let me put my Walter Griffith hat on here, first of all. First of all, Mr. Ryan, I want to congratulate you for your retirement, and through the years, I've known you many, many years, and I have to agree with Tony Brooks that you've been nothing but a gentleman to work with. Remember Ambrose Molesky, a trip back in the past for you. Ambrose Molesky and myself used to attend a lot of city council meetings, and I will say that it was one of the finer days of my earlier years in politics, I must say. And I wish you nothing but the best in your years of retirement. And I'm sure the city will be served very well with Kathy Payne at the helm. She's been there for quite many years, and she's also very experienced in the job. And I wish her well in her new adventure as the city clerk. So. Thank you so much, Jim, for your service to the city. It's been really a great time knowing you, and hopefully I'll run into you somewhere along the line and we'll be able to shake hands and say hello. Now I'll put my county council hat on for Luzerne County and express my concerns about the train station
Mr. Griffith?
Mr. Yes.
Yeah, it's not a pending legislation on our agenda. You can call back at public,
Okay.
you want to call back at public discussion?
Okay,
Yeah.
very good. I don't know your procedure, so.
Yeah, wait for my cue and when you can call in for public discussion. Right now, we're talking about items on the agenda to be voted on.
Okay, so at the end of your meeting, you have public comment again?
Yeah, well, yeah, this is just pending legislation. I'll give you the clue to call back. Thank you.
Very well, I apologize. Thank
No-
you so much.
No problem. Anyone else calling on pending legislation items on our agenda? You make a call in now.
Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Sam Troy, Wilkes-Barre.
Go ahead, Mr. Troy.
Concerning the agenda now, this is the agenda part comment.
Correct.
Listen, I just want to weigh in on, I believe there's sorry about the background noise. The mayor requests, I believe, to fund the CD money, which is, I don't know, $1 million or $2 million, whatever it is. I understand that, this is my understanding, maybe somebody could clarify this for me. Some of that money is going to a utility relief program for residents, according to the mayor, and I think that's a very generous and a very good thing to do, a very empathetic thing on the mayor's part to establish that program. I do wonder, however, if a lot of residents who are eligible for that program are aware of it, because there's a lot of suffering out there with that. Winter heating bills have been pretty tough on people. So I think that maybe the mayor or somebody ought to review or just go over the parameters of that program and maybe issue another press release, because some people that I talked to didn't even know about this, and they're certainly eager to know more so they can get some relief, some compensation there. But I also wanted to know if any of that money could be used for a taxpayer relief program, the CD money that's been allotted to the Office of Community Development. I don't know if that's the case, but I think that an extra 1% on city taxes or some relief thereabouts should be given to people who are struggling because of this pandemic to pay their taxes. And I know in Scranton they've adopted that. I talked to the mayor about this, and I know that they've received probably more money than Wilkes-Barre, but I think if some money could be found, even if it's just a small amount, to people who are eligible, that would be a good thing in the CD allotment. Just one more general comment on the, if I may, weigh in on the agenda, the way it's been handled the last few meetings with these combined sessions. One or two personnel issues have come up with promotions and so forth. And the last week with the cloud on the title for the Sterling lot, those things were added, to the best of my knowledge, at the last minute during the work session, which was predated the actual council session by 10 minutes. And I think council should consider, in all fairness to citizen, to public knowledge, to the public taxpayers, to adopt a resolution so that will not happen again. When there's a combined session, that nothing could be added to the budget, to the agenda, 10 minutes before the actual council session starts. It's not fair because we don't have a heads up. We don't even know about it. How are we going to comment on it? So I think there should be a 48-hour, when they go back to the regular sessions of 2 days before, 48 hours, give the public 48 hours to know what's going to be on that agenda. Nothing could be added in the last 10 minutes. So I would like some reaction to that, please. And I guess I don't know if I can continue to hold. I'd like to continue to hold and hear the reaction if that's possible. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Troy. Regarding the CBGB budget, it is online for the allocation of how the $1.5 million will be spent. There are public hearings for that budget that's separate from City Council. And so I encourage you to go to the website for that. The parameters for the utility relief due to COVID, that also is on the city's website as well, and I will encourage the administration to do another round of public relations so that people know that. And regarding last-minute items on the agenda, I do agree with you, Mr. Troy, and we should be going back to our regularly scheduled meetings of having Tuesday work sessions and Thursday voting sessions. I would hope by June. But that's all according to the CDC and our own health department as well. Anyone else to call in for items on the agenda?
Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Yeah, Bob Kalabowski. Since Walter was able to talk, I too would like to wish Jim a happy retirement. I hope he enjoys himself being retired. And Jim, just so you understand, when I come to the council meetings, it's nothing personal. It's just issues. And I'm really sincere. I hope you have a nice retirement. And I don't expect us to be going fishing or nothing, but I just want to tell you, I hope you have a very nice retirement. And if you ever break down, just give me a call and then we can talk about old times. So happy retirement. Bye.
Thank you, Bob.
That was nice. Are we good on that? Okay, now we'll go into voting on minutes and ordinances and resolutions.
Okay, Okay, let's see, get into the formal business at hand. First is the minutes of boards and authorities. Motion, second, and vote.
Motion.
John, second.
Second.
Bill. Mr. Barrett.
Yes.
Mr. Beluska.
Yes?
Mr. Marconi.
Yes.
Mrs. McBride.
Yes.
And Mr. Brooks.
Yes.
Motion passes. Ordinance number 1 is file of council number 8 of 2021 relative to an ordinance amending the traffic control map for 3 permanent stop signs at the intermodal of Maple and North Main Streets. Second reading. Motion, second, and vote.
Motion.
Beth?
Second.
Who was that? John? Okay. Mr. Barrett?
Yes.
Mr. Beluska?
Yes?
Mr. Marconi?
Yes.
Mrs. McBride?
Yes.
And Mr. Brooks.
Yes.
Motion passes also. And ordinance number 2, file 9 of 2021, adopting the 2021 action plan. First reading. Motion, second, and vote.
Motion?
Mike? Second.
Second.
Beth? Mr. Barrett?
Yes.
Mr. Beluska?
Yes?
Mr. Marconi?
Yes.
Mrs. McBride?
Yes.
And Mr. Brooks.
Yes.
I believe, that's all we have at this point,
That's all.
right?
Okay.
After the changes.
Does anyone else have anything to require for council presentations? Mr. Barrett?
Just one thing, I was unable to be at the last meeting, and I didn't get an opportunity to extend my congratulations to Mrs. Payne. She's gonna do a wonderful job. I mean, obviously I've known her at least into my 4th term here. And I have all the faith and confidence in you. And I'm sure that Mr. Ryan, any questions that you might have is not going to disappear, knowing him. And he'll make himself available, I'm sure. But that being said, I know that you and your assistant here, do temporary assistant for now, will do a wonderful job. And again, just like to extend my congratulations. I didn't have an opportunity before. Thank you.
Councilman Beluska?
Nothing more today.
Councilman Marconi?
Nothing further.
Councilwoman Gilbert?
I have nothing further.
Great. Okay, this time is public discussion. Those who want to call in and talk on any issue or subject may do so at this time.
Bob Kalabowski, just calling back now. Tony, if you could, I was trying to keep it short tonight, and I don't want to take away from tonight's night because it seems like a nice night for Jim Ryan when you leave it. But if you could, would you please, once again, I mean, you are running the meetings. We have to have the mayor's staff speak into the microphone because they were talking before and I couldn't hear a word they were saying. So if you could have them talk into the microphone, that would be great. And that way the public could hear what they got to say. And on the other side too, I would wondering if Mr. Beluska, so we could put this issue aside, would just publicly apologize to Mr. Carr, and that'll end the issue. Because I'm sure he didn't mean it, but that wasn't very nice what he did. So if that's possible, I would like him to apologize. So I guess anybody want to say anything to me? Hello? Okay. Well, yeah, does anybody want to say anything? Hello?
Are you done, Bob?
Did anybody? Well, yeah, I'm finished. I was just wondering if anybody wants to make a comment.
Yeah, when you're done, we'll make comments.
I'm finished.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, so you heard him about the speaking into the microphone.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I have no plans on apologizing.
Thank you, Mr. Valesco. Next call.
Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Walter Griffith, Trucksville.
Go ahead, Mr. Griffith.
Thank you. I just want to address Wilkes-Barre City Council on the issue that came to Luzerne County Council at the last meeting that we had on Tuesday regarding the train station over on Wilkes-Barre Boulevard with Mr. Albert as the developer. I have some concerns about the process with the RCAP money. There was some money that was transferred from the city with Mr. Albert from the bank project, and then he ended up taking over the train station with the promise that he was going to restore the train station, and I'm all for that. I think the train station needs to be restored. It's a beautiful historic structure. That central station is a beautiful piece of architecture that we certainly don't want to lose. I think it's one of those jewels that we have, much like the Hotel Sterling was, much like the Iram Temple Mosque. All of these structures that we have to preserve our history, they're beautiful buildings. The concern that I have was that Mr. Albert brought a lease to County Council saying that he wanted County Council to approve a 5-year lease with 3-year renewals, 2 3-year renewals, and the building hasn't been renovated yet. I want to be very clear that I have no problem with the county leasing that property when it's finished. I do have a problem with the fact that we were told by Mr. Albert that if we don't sign a lease, he may raise the building. And that's a concern for me. I don't think it's appropriate, first of all, for somebody who's gotten grant money from the state to restore a historical structure with the promise that that was going to be done, to then turn around and use that as a leverage against the very people that are giving them the money to say, if you don't give me a lease, then I'm going to rip the building down. Now, I don't know if that's his intent, but I'm really concerned about that type of mindset. I certainly want to help any way I can as a Luzerne County Council member. I certainly think we should be in there in the Convention Visitor Bureau, but I think we need to wait until the building is renovated, and then we would actually do the lease. But my ultimate concern right now is the fact that he made the statement that if we don't sign a lease, and I'm pretty sure I'm accurate with his statement, that he was going to raise the building, and that gives me great concern because it is a beautiful building, and we gave grant money so he could preserve that building, and I don't think it should be contingent on whether Luzerne County takes a lease there or anybody else. So those are my concerns for City Council, and I did get some documentation from Mark in the grant office, and I appreciate the help that he gave me. I sent that off to our council members for their review, but I just wanted to let the City Council know the situation that came about on Tuesday, just for your edification. And hopefully that's not going to be the end result if the county does not approve a lease with Mr. Albert for that building. And I don't see any reason why we wouldn't. I'm just saying I would hope that we would wait until the building was actually done. That building's been sitting there for decades, and nothing's been done to that building. And now all of a sudden we want to lease it for 11 years, and there hasn't been any renovation done. So I have some concerns, but I want to be really clear that I want to preserve that building as much as possible. It is a great piece of architecture, and we need to preserve our history. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it very much. And again, congratulations to Mr. Ryan on his retirement and Kathy Payne on her promotion. So thank you so much, Mr. Brooks. I appreciate your ability to allow me to speak, and thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Griffith. I'm glad to see that you and I are in agreement on saving our historical architecture within the city of Wilkes-Barre and all across the county as well. That building is protected on the National Historical Register site. It would take a lot of effort to hoops to jump to have it raised at all. So we would vigorously oppose that. So I am not for favor of raising that whatsoever. My understanding and conversations with Mr. Albert and the city is that work will start in April on restoring it, and we will be monitoring the situation. And I'm glad Mr. Barry has shared with you various documents that you can share with your colleagues. Any other questions?
Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, this is Jason Carr calling from Mount Bethel, Pennsylvania. I just wanted to take the public and City Council down memory lane. It's really unprecedented. Within the city of Wilkes-Barre, the developers actually call the shots to whatever mayor is in office. If we go back and look at Mayor McGorty, he had the call center, which is now owned by Wilkes, which is now off the tax rolls. We had the great Tom Layton regarding the Murray complex, sold to a developer, and now that's off the tax rolls. We have Mayor George trying to develop the Sterling Hotel site and the East Market Street site, and those are both off the tax rolls right now because I believe both of them are on KOZ status. And it was amazing to sit or listen to the county council meeting on Tuesday and have a developer give ultimatums to the county council and actually say several times that he would raise the building if they didn't agree to his terms. Now, I know this is a personal friend of Mayor Brown's, and it's astonishing that he didn't comment on Councilman Griffith's comments and concerns. But I don't know where the arrogance comes from Mr. Albert. But he doesn't call the shots in Wilkes-Barre. I don't know if Mayor Brown can clarify that. I know Mayor Brown is being dictated to right now by Mr. Albert as to how he wants to proceed. And I can see with the delays going on at the Sterling as well as the East Market Street projects that there are certainly problems within the city. Many people do not, again, want to develop within the city of Wilkes-Barre because of the corruption that goes on, both on a county level and a city level. That's why you're only dealing with one or two, or that's the reason why Mr. Albert's name continuously comes up. Because he's one of the only people that are willing to develop and work in the city, which I understand, and I commend him for that. He's taking a great amount of risk for the financial position that the city's in right now. I commend him for that. But I do have a problem with the arrogance of giving ultimatums to county council. It was unbelievable disgrace. But moving forward, I greatly appreciate, Mr. Chairman, Councilman Marconi's inquisitive nature around the budget. I greatly appreciate what he's requested from the mayor. Hopefully the mayor will have answers around the budget at the next meeting. Mr. Marconi, I hope or I should say, Mr. Chairman, I hope Mr. Marconi in the future is a person that will defend and work with the taxpayers of the city. As we've seen over the last couple of years, that there isn't much of an inquisitive nature on city council about the financial future of the city, which is bleak. So thank you, Mr. Marconi, for actually looking out for the taxpayers and the citizens.
The only comment I have is I just want to make a correction. Northampton in Maine is a different developer from Hotel Sterling. The Hotel Sterling site is a combination of a few developers, the guy who has developed the Wyoming National Bank. And of course, there are other developers who are in the city of Wilkes-Barre. We have the old Rosen-Jenkins Greenwall building at 15 South Franklin Street being developed as apartments. We have the D&D developers who have been successful with PNC Bank Building, the Allegheny Bank Building, Hampton East, and the old Pensax Deli building as well. So there are other developers that are working in the city of Wilkes-Barre. Any other calls? Does anyone have comments?
Yeah, Tony, I don't know where Mr. Carr got.
Hold on a minute.
Sam Troy, Wilkes.
I don't know where Mr. Carr got his information. I'm not personal friends with Mr. Albert. I've known him only because as being mayor, but I'm not personal friends. So once again, he's throwing out untruths.
Right. Nice.
Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Sam Troy, Wilkes-Barre.
Go ahead, Mr.
A couple of things. First of all, I'd like to request that Mr. Brooks and council in general, because of the compression of time, and for somebody like me who has a lot of issues to cover, 5 minutes is just not sufficient. We used to have 10 minutes until certain council people about 10 years or 15 years ago compressed it back to 5, and I think that's very undemocratic. I think that a resolution is in order for the next meeting or whatever to go back to at least 7 minutes to allow people to comment for 7 minutes in the general comment section of the council meeting. My other issues are assuming Tim Henry is Tim Henry in attendance tonight? If he is, he's not. Ms. Collins is there?
Yes.
Well, I would request that Ms. Collins, if she knows something about this, or maybe the mayor knows, I find it very disturbing, this whole situation with Mr. Albert as well. As far as I know, maybe the mayor could clarify this. He got a big break in the bank building that he bought on Public Square, much below the appraisal price there, and the city found some money for him to build this Planters Peanuts Museum. Is that correct? Like $1 million or something? Grant money, state money? Correct me if I'm wrong, somebody. You know, this is why I'm calling in, to get more information. I'm in the dark about a lot of this stuff, and maybe some of you are too. I don't think there's enough time spent by you council members trying to clarify certain situations which people like me ask to do. Well, that's why we're calling in, to get clarification on certain things. But anyway, there should be some legal document, and maybe Ms. Collins knows. I mean, she's got a good job there. You know, I don't know what exactly her responsibilities are. And every time I ask a question about the charter when she's in attendance, she doesn't seem to know. I mean, Mr. Henry knows. Is there some kind of legal document that Mr. Albert had to sign when he got this state money that there would be, in other words, he wouldn't be able to back out of this project or have the unmitigated temerity to attempt to raise this structure, to demolish it? I mean, there must be some legal documents that he signed that you know, there's something. If there is not, I would request, council would formally request of Mr. Henry to come up with such a document. Because if he's going to take, I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. I heard Mr. Brooks' comments that there's going to be a lot of loopholes, a lot of obstacles that he's going to run into before he could demolish this building. But believe me, there are some sharp lawyers out there that can maybe get around those obstacles, Mr. Brooks. So I think the city has to defend itself here legally. You've got 2 solicitors in there making a lot of money, a lot of hard-earned taxpayer money going into that solicitor's office. If there's not some legal document in place now, I suggest the city find something to protect itself about the subversive actions of Mr. Albert. I mean, he may be a good man in the sense that he's trying to develop properties in the city, that he's trying to bring some prominence to the city, some culture of the city. That's good. I'm not denying him that. But you know, there's the means to an end here. It's very disturbing, the way this sort of attempt at extortion. That's what I call it. I heard that county council business last night too, and I'm glad Mr. Griffith called it. This is the issue, in short, has to be addressed. I'm calling about a couple other issues if I have time there. I don't know if council's aware of this. I would like to formally request of all council members, anybody they know, any neighbors, if they have any, I'm making this request as a Shade Tree Commission member. We have a generous offer from a local citizen of 50 trees, that's 50 trees, sycamore and oak. He's paying for them, he's gonna get them and store them, and all we need is a space to plant them. I thought we would have some tree lawn, I know we have a ton of tree lawn space. If you council members could do it, I'm gonna issue a press release on this, and if you council members could go and maybe do a survey of your neighbors, the people you know, I'm sure you must know a ton of people who might need some trees on their tree lawns. I think this is an offer, like the Godfather said, we can't refuse. There's some humor for you. Like, I got no laughs. Anyway, I would like to formally request that if somebody knows of anybody, I'll put a press release out to this effect. I think this offer we've got to act on. We could the city could put them in parks. And I also got if I have any more time, I don't know if they're going to cut me off here, Mr. Brooks. Do I have another minute?
Go right ahead, Mr. Troy.
There's an offer, a generous offer I'm going to act on from the Lions Club. They want to give us any sort of tree, just one tree, but it's going to be, unless you people have some input on this, please call me or email me. I'm planning now in conjunction with Larry Newman to there is a veterans monument. I would suggest that each individual council person go to the north side of the square near North Main Street and look at a stone, a memorial, I guess you'd call it a stone or a monument to veterans, all veterans of World War II that gave their lives from Wilkes-Barre, and it's almost obscured by a half-dead arborvitae. And I was going to suggest that the Lions Club, they want to donate a tree, so I thought we would take out this arborvitae and plant it there in memory to all veterans, maybe in all wars. I mean, if somebody has some suggestions on this, how far we could go with this. But the tree is free. It's a donation to the city, and I haven't formally asked them what kind of tree they want to donate. So if anybody has some ideas there, I was just going to go and try to get the same tree that we got last time. But the one we got to plant in memory of, in honor of the healthcare workers. But along those lines, I guess I've used up my time, but I just wanted to suggest that if you people have any input or can give me some ideas here, it would certainly be appreciated. Thanks for your time. And if you have any, as I said, any specific people who want some trees, we could plant them in the parks. They are 3.5 to 4 feet, by the way.
Okay.
They're not little.
Thank you, Mr. Troy.
Seedlings. So they're, as far as I know, Mr. Harry Kropp is the go-to guy here, and he says that he's got the word from this company that he's buying from that they're very suitable for tree lawns, and God knows we need more trees.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Mr. Troy.
Thanks for your time, and I hope to pursue this more. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's absolutely wonderful. I was contacted also by Mr. Kropp about donating trees. I also like to suggest, I strongly urge Mr. Troy to please let the public know when his monthly meetings are for the Tree Shade Commission so that he can get input for the public of where these trees could go. I just want to correct you too, Mr. Troy. The monument to World War II veterans is not actually for the entire city of Wilkes-Barre. It's just for wards 4 and 5. That's on Public Square. And Mr. Albert does not own the Planters Peanuts building, and geez, I wish he would get $1 million to restore it, but he is not the owner of it, and nor was $1 million allocated to the Planters Peanut building. And to demolish the train station, you would have to go through Harrisburg. It's not in the purview of this council. There's rigorous demands to meet, and he would have to go through the state preservation office, but he'd get a lot of resistance from us in wanting to demolish it. So I think that's out of the question at all. Would you like to comment anything, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, a couple of things. First of all, Sam, the $1 million RCAP did go through the state, and also Mr. Albert has to match those funds. So he also has to put at least $1 million into it. As far as the First National Bank building, he did not pay under appraised value. He paid over appraised value by about $150,000. He paid $400,000 for that building, and it was appraised at about $250,000. So the city actually was paid $150,000 more by this gentleman than what it was appraised at. So I don't know where you got your information. Thirdly, Sam, you and I talked for an hour yesterday about these trees. And I told you after talking to Mr. Fratty, the trees are not suitable for tree lawns. But I also ask you to please, you and the other gentleman that's donating them, take a look at the parks within the city, Nesbitt Park, Kirby Park, other parks, and we will help you plant them. We will plant those trees. And I told you several times that based on information I received, they cannot go on tree lawns. They can go in parks. We'll happily take them, and we'll actually plant them.
That's wonderful.
Okay? So I spent an hour yesterday on this, and it seems like I'm going over it again. But just so council knows, the type trees that they're talking about, they're not conducive to the tree lots.
Right, wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, appreciate that. All right, we're good. We're good, okay. Well, Mr. Ryan, thank you again for your last meeting. We all wish you the best again in your retirement. I'm sure you're partially relieved a little bit, but I know you'll miss some of us from time to time. And
Absolutely.
so it's good.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you for
Thank you, Jim.
accolades tonight. Kathy, Lisa, thank you again.
Good, wonderful.